Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Email me directly for pricing, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing a 2019 limited edition of 100 pieces, 41.5 millimeters in white gold. This is the Lange Sohne Datograph Perpetual Calendar Tourbillon. It is a power reserve, an instantaneous change perpetual calendar, a flyback chronograph, a tourbillon, and a moon phase. All of that in a case that's 41.5 millimeters in diameter, 15 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 50.5 millimeters across, and then 20 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears pretty well. It's a big watch, and yet I can tell you that I'd be comfortable wearing it. We'll move away from the camera a little bit so you can better see the watch in proportion against my wrist, my whole forearm now. The watch would be wearable on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, and it's not excessively broad across the wrist, though it is quite heavy and it's fairly chunky. Nevertheless, because of its dramatically sloped case flank, it should slide okay under a jacket cuff. Over the top, down the barrel. Now, the hardware and the software, impressive. There is a honey brown, large rectangular scale alligator leather strap. You can see it has a monotone stitch, a little bit of bolstering to add thickness, a folded edge, and on the underside, black calfskin. It is an uncrimped, ungouged, Lange Sohne factory strap. We have a remarkably deluxe deploying clasp. Now, not every Lange watch, even complications, feature deployant clasps. Here, not only do we get a deployant clasp, which you can see is a combination of polished and media blasted, but we get a trigger release system, much like you'll find on the Terra Luna or the Lange 31, the really big pieces. By pressing these triggers, you release the clasp. That is a feature you will not find on the standard Lange Sohne snap deployants. Moreover, there is a deployment function that allows the buckle to lock the strap into position. You can see these little spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps, so the tolerances for this little swing arm lock remain tight over time. The idea is to put the strap in, size it, and then pin it to the pin so that it can't slip. Absolute security on the wrist. This is a very, very sophisticated clasp. And of course, you can see Lange still outsources its case and clasp construction because this one is Swiss made. And you can see it says Swiss made right there. We'll talk about who made the case in just a moment. But the case is beautiful. It's characteristic Lange design, satinated mid-case, polished bezel, an inset case back that creates a thinner profile on the wrist than its nominal thickness. You can see there's a little bit of a polishing to the case back, that the shoulders of the pusher for the calendar have been polished, but the outer face of the pusher satinated, and then we have lugs which are stepped out dramatically from the case band and then polished in their entirety with a little bit of a diminishing bevel on their sides. We have an Lange Sohne branded crown, and then we have two more pushers for the chronograph on the 3 o'clock side. The vertical portion of the bezel is thin, the domed portion is broad, and it gives way to a dial which is salmon in color, but know this, while a standard Lange Sohne dial would be made of sterling silver and then galvanized to be whatever color it's going to be, blue, silver, black, this here is actually solid gold. When you see a rose gold dial on a Lange, it is 18 karat solid gold. So inside this white gold case, we have a solid gold dial with white gold hands, solid white gold moon phase disc, white gold indices, white gold frame for the double date, all of that with a stepped red gold tachymeter outboard for gauging the speed of objects using the chronograph. Take note, this is a flyback chronograph that can be reset and restarted using only the trigger at 4 o'clock. The watch, with its flyback chronograph and tachymeter, is already fairly sporty for a dress watch, but you'll note it actually has respectable looms, so it's sporty in that regard as well. Now, of course, the timepiece features a perpetual calendar that changes instantaneously at midnight. The watch also includes a power reserve indicator up between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and as you wind the watch manually, it's a 50-hour manual wind power reserve, you can see that the power reserve transitions from red to white. You'll also appreciate that there is a 24-hour indicator, so you know if you're looking at, for example, 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. It's coaxial with the constant seconds and the day of the week over at 9 o'clock. And you can see that the registers are just below the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock indices. We have alpha-style hands at center. And again, you have the blue and the silver-white for the AM, PM. It'll turn all blue when you're looking at the nighttime. We have a leap year phase indicator, instantaneous jumping chronograph minutes, and then a month of the year. You can see that jump right there. And then a month of the year indicator at 3 o'clock. And Lange moon phase discs are made of gold. Turn it all over. We have caliber 9522. Manual wind, 50-hour power reserve, instantaneous change perpetual calendar, column wheel, lateral clutch chronograph, flyback chronograph, power reserve indicator, AM, PM indicator, and a tourbillon with a cage that references historic East German pocket watch manufacturer. You will find that design in the history of Saxon watchmaking, and uniquely, it has a hacking tourbillon, so when you actually pull the crown, you stop the tourbillon, which halts the seconds and allows you to synchronize this tourbillon watch to the second against a reference time. Very unusual. It's free-sprung with an overcoil hairspring for concentric breathing in any position, and the free-sprung regulator is part of a balance structure that has been regulated in 5 positions, which is the high horology and chronometer grade standard. You also appreciate that the watch features 58 synthetic rubies for its pivots, but there is one real brilliant cut diamond, and that sits as the lower cap on the tourbillon carriage, so a real diamond. It is beautifully finished, as you can see the column wheel in action with the steel levers, horns, recentering hammers, and the clutch. The clutch is fully jeweled, and you can see it as a lateral clutch. All of this beating weight, 18,000 vibrations per hour, 30 meters water resistant, but please don't test the theory. It is elaborately hand finished. You can see that there's freehand engraving on the structure adjacent to the tourbillon cock, and you can see that freehand engraving, almost like a banknote scrolling. We have German silver bridges, which is a nickel, copper, and zinc alloy, with the copper giving it its golden hue. We also have both black polished and fired blue screws, and you can see both of them are used to create 2 different aesthetic profiles. You'll also appreciate the fact that the watch includes enormous amounts of poly noir or black polished, optically smooth mirror finishes that are created with a diamond paste. You can see everything that's turning black as I move the watch. It's because those surfaces only reflect light in one specific angle, otherwise they appear black, hence the term poly noir. No shortage of sharp interior angles and exterior angles. You'll see interior angles all over the steel chronograph clutch. Very difficult to do points and inboard points, so that you have those outboard points at the end of the clutch, then you also have those inboard points where 2 bevels meet. Very difficult to do even on brass or German silver. To do it on steel requires virtuoso skills. All of the screw heads feature polished tops and chamfered slots and circumference, and if you look carefully, you could see mirrored anglage not just on the edge of the German silver bridges, but also on the edge of the satin-topped steel components. So the steel components are either black polished or satinated on their top, and then beveled on their sides. We also have satination on the wheels, which is nice attention to detail, and engine turning on the base plate, alternating with some frosted surfaces just below the balance assembly. It is truly special, gorgeous, and eye-wateringly unique. This is the kind of watch you could stare at for hours. It's beguiling, engrossing, it is hypnotic, and hugely charismatic. It is also very rare. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.